Welcome to the all-new That Business Show 2.0. I am your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. New episodes now weekday mornings at 9 a.m. on thatbusinessnetwork.com and available on iTunes and on YouTube. Today, my guest is Todd Whalen, president of the Eclipse Building Corporation. To learn more throughout the discussion, eclipsebuildingcorp.com. Todd, welcome to the program today.
Thank you for having me, Jamie.
So, you're in the commercial building space here based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Tell us a little bit about the background of the company.
So, Eclipse Building Corp is a commercial general contractor specializing in retail and restaurant construction primarily.
Okay, and how did you find this space of building?
About 15 years ago, I was building ultra-luxury custom homes down in South Florida. I had a client, a homeowner I was building a house for, needed to do some expansions in his business, and asked me if I could do a build-out for his business.
Okay, so you were in the new home building space,
new
15?
home, ultra-luxury residential.
Okay, and then that market turned south, as we all know about it.
Very quickly.
I am a real estate agent. I actually benefited because I sold foreclosures, but a lot of people, had to make changes in the business.
Yeah.
And especially the general contractors in the new home space. How did you survive that time? What did you, like in the 2007-8 year, what was going on in your business?
We transitioned into the commercial sector for renovations and remodeling existing business locations. People didn't have the money or the means to expand and build multiple new locations, so they took a small step back and just simply renovated and made their existing locations their existing businesses.
So how long were you in the new home space before the downturn?
Almost 15 years.
So
I started almost 30 years ago in residential construction. Was
that a tough transition to see that was just not going to be sustainable after 2005, 2006, and you saw that you had to take your business in a new direction, or was it just like, hey, I'm a contractor, I don't care what I'm working on? Talk to me about that.
It was an easy transition to make. I think it's probably a harder transition to make when you go from commercial to residential. But going from residential into commercial was very easy.
Okay, but mindset-wise, did it bother you? Did you prefer working in a residential space, or do you prefer commercial? Or
I prefer the commercial.
You prefer that, okay.
The clientele of the commercial market, these are business owners that like to make decisions quickly, and they want to get their businesses open and operational.
I'm in that mindset with real estate. I've sold foreclosed properties for 10 years. I don't like residential real estate. I don't like taking families around showing homes and going out on general listing appointments. That's on my mindset. I'm more attracted to the commercial space, and I'm beginning to shift my business into commercial real estate. And so I think I'm kind of in that same boat that you are, that you prefer the numbers of it. Where it hits me is I like the unemotionality of the business. It's all business. It's all numbers. There's no emotion, or less emotion, I should say, involved in commercial.
Yeah, the residential side of things you're a lot more tire kickers. People will drive around all day long because they're living somewhere right now, and they're not in a hurry to buy another house and increase their mortgages and so on and so forth. In the commercial side of things, these are business owners, and time is money, and the quicker they can find a location and get it built and get it open and get that cash register ringing, the better it is for their bottom line.
That's the mindset that I'm more so in, not so much, oh, look at the pretty chandelier up there, or oh, that kitchen just, I don't like the color of the cabinets.
Yeah, you find somebody to their dream home and they won't buy it because it has a green tile.
Right, and that's an area that I've never been attracted to in real estate, and in commercial real estate is the future of my business. Now, you made that turn in 2008 in the commercial building space. Yes. Strictly commercial since then?
Strictly commercial since then. I have done a few residential projects for existing clientele that I have a very strong relationship with that have begged me to build their personal homes.
Okay. What's the commercial real estate market looking like out there in Tampa Bay right now?
Very strong, especially on the retail and the restaurant side of things. Tampa's ground zero for food and wine, and that market is very strong here in Tampa, which is why I relocated.
And again, your specialty is in food and restaurant design and build out.
Retail.
Are you mostly doing build out of existing locations, or are you building them from the ground up? Is it a little bit of everything?
Probably 90% of our workload is interior renovations, going into an existing building that already has infrastructure and just doing an interior facade renovation
So what's
either an
involved?
existing restaurant or bringing a new one in.
This is an area where I don't have a lot of experience in. You've got a business owner coming into a building and then commercial space. Who's responsible for the cost of the renovations? Is it the owner of the building, or is it the business that's coming in?
Well, it's a combination of
work?
both, depending on how your lease is written, how you negotiate your lease. If it's, say, a vanilla box or a cold dark shell in a shopping center, the landlords or the owners of the building itself will give you a tenant improvement allowance.
Okay.
They'll give you a certain amount of money per square foot or a lump sum because you're going to make improvements to the building that after your lease is up or you go out of business, you move out, those improvements are going to stay. And that's a value to the building owner that they don't have to put the money out for up front. So they'll give you an allowance, they'll give you a certain amount of money to make those improvements.
Yeah, the office I'm in, Coldwell Banker, just renovated the building. It's got all new everything, but if Coldwell Banker were to pack up and leave, the building owner benefits from that.
Correct.
But oftentimes, though, it is the tenant that's going to pay for the cost of the renovations, which differs from the residential space, where if you want new carpet and paint, the landlord is going to put that in. The tenant is.
In a rental market, in a rental market, the homeowner would be responsible for repairs and renovations.
Okay. All right. So what are some of the current projects that you've worked on recently?
Well, recently completed the largest food concession project at Tampa International Airport. We did a 6-concept food court concession with Ulele, Goody Goody, Cafe Con Leche, Bavaro's, Fit Life Food, and Louis Papas.
Now, did you have to have relationships with each one of those brands, or did you get the contract with the airport and then were able to get your foot in the door with it? How did that work?
So the contract was with the actual concessionaire, SSP America.
Okay.
And they enter into licensing agreements with the individual food concepts. They operate the concessions and all of the food. They pay rent and a royalty to the airport. They pay a royalty to the.
So see, this is an area of real estate or commercial real estate I'm not familiar. You use the term the concessionaire. So when I go into like a food court in a mall, is that a concessionaire who owns that general area and then licenses out the little cubicles to those smaller brands?
Typically in a food court in a shopping mall, those individual brands are the individual brands. They're individually owned, either a franchisee or a corporate-owned location. However, in the airport has a license out to a concessionaire, SSP, HMS Host, and they manage and operate all the concessions throughout the airport.
Okay.
They'll enter into licensing agreements.
Is that something specific like airports, or is that practice also used in other areas?
Primarily airports follow that business model.
Okay, and so then they go out and then they license the different spots within the airport to the Bavaros and to the Pizza Huts and the different
Starbucks
locations.
and all the different concessions, even retail concessions.
Very cool. And so, what was it like working in the airport, setting? You got a lot of security.
Logistically very challenging.
I was
High
gonna say, a lot of
security.
security
We were post TSA. We're in the actual concourse where you would be boarding the planes. So everything coming into that particular area has to go through a security checkpoint.
Yeah. So did you have to come in just like everybody else does?
Well, we have to go through a background check, so we have security badges that allow us to just walk right through. But deliveries, different things like that, vehicles coming into secured areas have to be inspected. All employees have to go through that security background check. When we are escorting non-badged workers into that area, we're responsible for the security of that individual person.
It's a whole nother line of work that you had to learn to deal with.
A whole other set of logistics. The work hours, the times that you can work. The airport is first and foremost an airport. And the safety of the passengers comes first.
Right.
So we kind of work within that structure.
Other projects you've been involved in recently?
Recently, we're happy to announce we just signed contracts with the Mini Doughnut Factory. They have their first location down off Dale Mabry and are going to rapidly expand throughout the Tampa Bay area. So we are currently designing their first prototypical store down in St. Pete off 4th Street North. And that prototypical design will follow through the next 5 locations that they'll build over the next 14 to 16 months.
Very impressive. Patrick and Zezra are good friends
Yes.
of mine, been on the program a couple times. A brand that has taken off here in Tampa
Yeah.
Bay with lines around the door, and their concept is simple. Just take the donuts and make them small, but they do much more than that. They make
I
them
believe
very creative.
they were just nominated too for Startup of the Year.
They were business of the year
Yeah.
for.
Did they win?
Yeah,
I didn't get a chance to.
They
to
won
look
the
at-
South Tampa Chamber of
Fantastic.
Commerce Business of the Year, and they won my
Congratulations.
Business of the Year award too, that I do annually
And you got it
for
as
the
well.
program.
Well,
And
congratulations to you.
Yep, and so they have a brand that is incredible,
Mm-hmm.
and so your job now is to design the prototype store that is then going to become the face of the stores as they expand across Tampa Bay
Correct.
and across the nation. Right now they got 2 locations right now. I
Just the
believe.
one location off Del Mabry,
and
which,
with a second coming in St. Petersburg.
and with the second will be in St. Petersburg. That second location will be the prototypical store that will reflect all of the finishes and concept for all of the future locations.
Very cool. So what goes into designing the prototype of a business that, hasn't, grown yet? I mean, what are y'all talking about doing?
You're starting with a clean slate, essentially. You design your kitchen line. They're inventorying, for example, all of their small wares in their existing store, down to the utensils, the mixing bowls, the measuring cups. Full inventory of all of that, so that as they build all of these locations, that order for all of their small wares, that order for their equipment, their light fixtures, their flooring, their
need
paint
this
colors,
package,
everything.
you need this package, right.
This furniture package. So when they go to a specific location, they do that design. They just count up, oh, I need so many chairs, so many tables.
Yeah.
Here's my cook line. I just released an equipment package, my small wares order.
So you
And
get down,
everything
you're
is
not
automatic.
you're just not designing the shelves, and you're getting in there and you're helping them with the utensils and
Correct.
the cookware
Yeah,
and all that. So I didn't think you would do that.
Turnkey from concept to completion. That is our motto.
Wow. And so how soon before we see the prototype store?
We just started construction yesterday with demolition, and construction will wrap up in about 8 weeks.
Very cool. Very excited to see the development of Mini Doughnut Factory, a brand here, started here in Tampa, Florida, and then you getting in here and helping design with the prototype building
Yep.
and stuff. So very cool to see what comes out of that brand. Currently talking to Todd Whalen, president of the Eclipse Building Corporation, specializing in commercial development, specifically the restaurant space. So if you got a restaurant that needs built out, you definitely want to reach out to Todd Whalen of the Eclipse Building Corporation at eclipsebuildingcorp.com or 813-333-1380. 813-333-1380. Stay tuned. We got a lot more, Todd, when we come back from the break on That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.
Hi, welcome to Yeager's. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeager's, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring type products, hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Welcome back to That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. New episodes again, weekday mornings, 9 a.m., thatbusinessnetwork.com. And if you'd like to be featured on the program, visit tbsinterview.com for more information. My guest today, Todd Whalen, president of the Eclipse Building Corporation, where they specialize in restaurant design and build out, and can also help you from a consulting standpoint to help you know and grow that business. And I want to get into that a little bit with Todd right now. You know, Todd, when I think of a commercial contractor, I think you come in here, you do the building, and then you leave. I'm not really going to ask you for advice on how to run my business, but you have that level of knowledge about the restaurant industry. Elaborate on this a little bit with me and how you help.
And that's really the service that we provide to our clientele. We're not just a commercial general contractor that takes a set of drawings and converts that into reality. We sit down with our clients and we really want to get to know them. We want to know what their expectations are, not just from their business, but for future growth. And we analyze different things like location and demographics.
I often wonder how a restaurant, or any business for that matter, especially the chains, know where to put their stores, like the Walmarts. They know where to put those things so that parking lot is always full.
Exactly, and that, the larger corporations like the McDonald's and the Walmarts, they do so much research on demographic studies and traffic studies and different things like this, so they know the perfect locations to put their stores at.
But this is stuff that you get into with your clients,
Yes.
the demographics, the placement, all the way down to the design. So when I'm telling you I want to do this, this, and this, you might say, I don't know about that. You can provide examples.
And that's where we don't build restaurants or retail stores. We build relationships. And by having those conversations up front and getting to know our clients on that level, we're able to build those relationships and make those stores and those locations as successful as they possibly can be.
So what attracted you to the restaurant niche of commercial build-outs?
Food.
Just to be able to eat?
I love food. Who doesn't like food, right?
Right.
Who doesn't like to go and sit down at a great restaurant and eat?
Right.
So many times I would go to a restaurant and sit and eat, and maybe the service was mediocre, the food wasn't that great, or I would ask myself, why this restaurant in this location? You would see restaurants often, in specific locations start up and fail. And constantly new restaurants coming in out of a specific location. And I would always ask myself, why? And that's what kind of drove me into specializing in this particular sector. I wanted to see people be successful at it.
So many people who want to start a business go into some form of food and they think they can make a good sandwich or salad. They think they can be a business owner.
Yeah.
And you hear this time and time again from the people who are running the restaurants, and you see all the failures. There's a lot of know-how in running a successful
being
restaurant.
a good cook does not make you a good restaurant.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But so many
it's a
people,
business like any other business, and so many people get into this restaurant business thinking that, well, I'm a great cook, or my family comes from the restaurant industry, and how hard can it be? And they sit at a restaurant and they'll count up tables and chairs and then look at their own check and go, oh my God, look at all the money I could make. But at the end of the day, it's a business. And for new restaurateurs getting into that business, that's the level of service that Eclipse provides. We're not just contractors, but we want to be involved to a point where we want to help you make the right decisions.
what concepts are working well in restaurants right now? Anything standing out that restaurants are doing today that may be non-traditional, or maybe something different? Anything that stands out?
Innovation has really taken over all aspects of restaurant and retail. When you take concepts like, say, Topgolf, for instance, it's a driving range, right?
Yeah.
So, but then they had introduced an element of great food, a great bar, a great atmosphere, music, places where you can go and have meeting space.
Yeah.
So that innovation has allowed them to flourish and prosper beyond what a typical driving range would. Same with, say, a Cinebistro, a Dave & Buster's, where you're bringing in a more adult-themed arcade games, combine that with food and entertainment.
Do you think the individual brand is standing out more so than the chain of stores?
Absolutely.
Because I'm seeing even restaurant owners or big companies that are having different named stores instead of focusing on just just one brand across the board. Is the niche of the brand also becoming a part of dining out?
Having a brand is important, but having a great dining experience and good food and good service is even more so important.
Right, because myself, to go to the Applebee's or the Roadhouse, I mean that's great, but it's not the same as going to the Burns Steakhouse, where that's the only place that has that brand. And so individuality, I think, speaks volumes for a restaurateur if they can develop that level of
and that's where some of the larger corporations are starting to miss the mark. You see it in retail with the closing down of major retail stores, the Kmart's, the Sears, and things like this, and even major restaurant chains, the Bonefish Grills, and restaurant chains of that nature. People are shying away from they don't want to be treated just as a customer. You're going to come in, you're going to sit down, you're going to order a meal, and you got to leave for the next customer to come in. They want an experience, and they want to be treated as a VIP, whether they're buying ice cream cone or they're sitting down at a Burns and having a $100 meal.
Yeah, myself, I'm getting tired of the chains and the same stuff. I'm starting to seek out those individual brands, and you're right, it is about the experience, and the food is becoming secondary to the experience, and so that's.
And I would encourage people to get out there and experience those individual brands. By doing so, you're also supporting your local community, your local privately owned mom and pop business, whether it's a retail store or a restaurant, any small business. It's always better service when you can go into a small business, support your community, and that's just a win-win for all.
Okay, you've just completed your project at the airport, new contract with the Mini Doughnut Factory. What else is Eclipse building?
On the horizons, we're in negotiations right now for a wonderful project out on Harbor Island, taking over an old restaurant that just moved out, and a new seafood concept coming in called Norton's. And so we're in negotiations right now with that to provide design services and value engineering and construction.
So how are you sourcing your business today? As you've gotten to the point to where your business is self-sustaining, word of mouth is getting your brand around, but are you still out there, having to pound the streets? Basically, for any contractor, you got your one job, but you got to be looking down the road for those next ones. How do you do that?
Always have to be on the lookout for the next opportunity. But referrals are usually the best source of reference when it comes to picking up new clientele. When you have a great client that goes out and tells somebody else, hey, you have to use Eclipse Building Corp, the referral is really where the bulk of the work comes from.
You see so many contractors, they'll have, good spurts and they're bad, good and bad, but how do you sustain yourself? And so referrals, networking.
Well, I sustain myself by coming on the Jamie Malini show.
Maloney.
But referrals and just networking. You have to be out. You have to be involved in the community, and that's very important.
Where do you see the business here in 5 years? Where's Eclipse Building Corp going to go? And also, do you only build in Tampa Bay? Or do you
we're a state licensed general contractor. Tampa Bay is basically our backyard, but we work throughout the entire state as well as the country as well. We do have some national clients that will take us out of state. We don't directly source out-of-state work, but if a client has a project in another state, we will go there and do that project.
A big problem we have in this area is unscrupulous contractors, licensing fraud, people borrowing licenses from other people. We've got a couple of minutes left. Let's give some advice to consumers on how to pick reputable contractors, whether it's residential or commercial.
Always hire a licensed contractor. Always hire a licensed contractor. And you can go on the DBPR website, Department of Business Professional Regulation. You can search by an individual's name, by a corporation's name, by a license number you may think may be fraudulent. And if you are approached and you are solicited by an unlicensed contractor, report that contractor.
And is it okay to ask for proof of insurance, proof of bond,
it's a
all
must.
of that?
Absolutely.
Because I think a lot of people would kind of be like, I don't want to make him think I don't trust him.
And not just requesting the insurance certificates, but following up on that insurance certificate. In a core insurance certificate, anybody could print that out on a PDF. How do you know if it's even legitimate?
Right.
Don't be afraid afraid to call that carrier and verify that policy number.
Right, and that's something in
And
real
those
estate.
coverages.
In real estate, whenever we have new contracts with large suppliers, they want to see our proof of errors and omission insurance. And
Yep.
boy, I have my certificates right there on my computer ready
And
to
so
send
many
out.
times I'll have clients approach me and say, well, you know, your price might be a little bit on the high side, or we have somebody that might be a little bit less expensive. And I ask right away, are they fully licensed? Are they fully insured? Did you verify and vet that license and insurance properly?
Right.
And once they do that, they come back around and say, well, no, he's not.
Right.
And that's a big part of the difference.
Yeah, well, being a contractor, it's a tough business, and you get people from all levels of skill, all levels of expertise, and all levels of knowledge out there. And so, as a consumer, you got to protect yourself. You got to do your due diligence, and word of mouth is really what sustains, I think, a lot of great contractors doing quality work. It's like you do at Eclipse Building Corporation, getting that new business. But at the end of the day, consumers can protect themselves. Go to the DBPR website, request those insurance certificates, and then ask for a body of work. Do you have portfolios available, for instance, to show me your work?
Sure. You could go on the website. You could see current projects, past projects. Social media is a good way to vet contractors. That will give you all of the knowledge and everything that you need to see, is this contractor really capable of doing this particular project? Has he done them before in the past? And verifying those references. Don't be afraid to go right out to a project and ask the management and the owners of those how happy they were with it.
About a couple minutes left. For the people that are listening, developers out there, why should they come to Tampa Bay and invest in our community?
Oh, why should they? Why shouldn't they? Tampa is on the cusp of becoming an internationally known and desired destination. I came here 2 years ago. I was here 3 hours and knew immediately. Within 6 months, I had completely relocated my business and my residence here. Tampa is on fire in every aspect, in every segment of economy. Tampa is growing by leaps and bounds. We're not bound by borders of the Everglades like you are down in South Florida. Mm-hmm. The wealth of water and activities and different things to do here in Tampa. It's a remarkable city. It really is a small town with a big city atmosphere.
It sure is. So Todd Whalen, president of the Eclipse Building Corporation, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Jamie.
And again, a general contractor specializing in commercial build-outs for restaurants and also consulting in that space as well. So if you're getting into the food business, reach out to Todd for advice. 813-333-1380. 813-333-1380, eclipsebuildingcorp.com. You're listening to That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.